In this video, I'm going to discuss Section C, May, June 2017, Paper 12. Now, this is the section where your theoretical knowledge is going to be tested. So, intervals, scales, keys, related keys, modulations. So, this is a very important question and section because this is out of a possible 16 marks. So, you need to know your work here. So, the first question is, what instrument plays the printed melody? So, that's the first one. And then let's look at the second one. Briefly comment on the way this instrument plays bars 1 to 17 in relation to the printed melody. We're going to discuss that just now. That's for 2 marks. The melody is incomplete in bar 5. Fill in the missing notes on the staff below. The rhythm has been given to you to help you. So they give you a bar before the time, and I always tell my students that first note, you have to work out whether it goes a step down or stepwise up, and what happens to that note, or does that stay on the same pitch, and then in relation to that note, where does this note end? You see, and then you can work out the rest. They will not give you big leaps. It will mostly be a scale down, a scale up, or stepwise movement. So that is question 20. And then you have to know your tempo markings. We've done that also in a previous Section C question paper. Okay, Italian. So not in English, the Italian word. What key does the second section begin in? Okay, and compare bars 41 and 42 with bars 18 to 19, noting one similarity and one difference. Then name the bracketed interval. I think that's where we ended. Name the interval. Briefly describe the accompaniment in the second section of the music. Okay, and who composed this music. And here you have to know the era of the music. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to answer these questions. Now, let's look at the music before we listen to it. Here you have to complete the melody. There I see the 2 sharps, Father Charles. So I must work out whether I'm in a major when I start or in a minor when I start. Okay? Then bar 18 is here. This is the second section. How do I know it? This one ends with a double bar line. And then I see an added accidental. And then you have to give the tempo. I'm sure it's not going to stay largo there. And the new key. And then compare bars. Compare this with 18 and 19. So 18 and 19 you had da 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 dum. So what's going to happen here? Think of your Dr. Smith method when you answer that one. And then they give you an interval here. This you can do before the time. I see clearly the note E there and A. And I know how to work out an interval. Okay. So I have a good idea of some of the questions that I can already fill in. So let's now listen to the music. They give you a long time in between. And I'm glad that this is slow, so it will be easier to figure out.
C1 and answer the questions.
So listen to the melody, listen to the instrument. Bar 13. In the previous question, they asked the cadence there. Now we have the tempo there. So the first question, what instrument plays the printed melody? You have to decide whether this is a string instrument, a woodwind instrument, a brass instrument, or
Music
percussion.
C1, second playing.
So let me just stop that first. Now I will add some nice quizzes in the description box. And then this video is quite long, but it's worthwhile to watch because you will know this section of the orchestra after you've watched this one. So I'll also add this to the description box. Now when we listen to this again, I want you to concentrate on bars 1 to 7, because now you have to comment on the instrument playing this and what is different. What maybe ornamentation is added, maybe articulation is added that's not written there. Any notes that you hear that's added or trills added. State whether it's common practice of the music performed in this era. So here you have the chance to already write down the period of music that you think this belongs to. The melody is incomplete in bar 5. Fill in the missing note on the staff below. What's nice about this one is that it is so slow. The rhythm has been given to help you. Now the first note that you have to write is that higher, lower, or on the same pitch as the last given note. Do I have a little leap going up or down from that? And do I hear a scalic pattern? I think I heard a scalic pattern going into the next section. And that last note you need to write is that higher or lower than the next note given. And I'm sure that you could all hear that new tempo. Largo, slowly, broadly. That was the first tempo, so it's not that one. Andante at a walking pace, I think that is not that one. Moderato at a moderate pace, I think that was faster that we heard. Allegro, fast, that can be a possible answer. Allegretto can be a possible answer. Vivace, lively, can be a possible answer. What key does the second section begin with? Important to find the second section. We know that that is bar 18. Because just before that, you had the double bar line showing you the end of the section. And then, is it in the original tempo or is something different? Compare bars 41 to 42 with bars 18 to 19, noting one similarity and one difference. So this, when you listen to this the second or the third time, this is what you will concentrate on. Think of the elements of music. Did you hear a change in tempo or key, pitch, note values? Is it more virtuosic or simpler played? Is the articulation different? The dynamics different? More or less ornamentation? And what stays the same? Okay, so I would not listen to this one the first time. You have such a lot that you can already fill in after the first playing. But this one you should concentrate on a little bit more. Name the bracketed interval in bar 48. Now that you can fill in before you even start listening to the music. Because straightforward you see it's an E to an A. I have an F sharp and a C sharp in my key signature. So those notes stay exactly the same. And for revision, watch this video. It will help you a lot. And then briefly describe the accompaniment in the second section of the music. And there they give you the second section. And this is now for 3 marks. Name the instrument playing the accompaniment, typical of the time. That will help you. So you already get a mark if you can name the instrument or instruments playing the accompaniment. Anything that you notice regarding the rhythm that this instrument or instruments play? Do they copy the melody of the solo instrument? Do I hear chords? Is it simple or elaborate? And who composed this music? And I'm sure that you can work out Beethoven was in the classical time. Debussy was in the 20th century. Handel was a Baroque composer. Haydn was a classical composer. And then you can work out, because I'm sure by now you know the period of the music we listen to. So let's listen to this one again. So this is straightforward. I'm sure that you will hear a lot of ornamentation there and added trills. And I would state that this is in the Baroque era. So up to there, I'm sure that you can fill in that answer. Now here from 18, we're going to hear the harpsichord accompaniment. And you have to state that instrument. And then you will hear the moment that the flute, this is the flute. If the flute plays long notes, the harpsichord or the basso continuo, they're quite busy, and vice versa. And I hear a lot of chordal accompaniment when they're so busy, when the flute is busy. And then you have to compare this 18 and 19 now with 41 and 42. So let's hear whether we hear all those. That's the start, where I hear all those embellishments typical of the Baroque era. Bar 8. Added notes there. So the printed music is like a guideline. So this next section is quite important because you've got a lot of questions on this. Listen to bar 18 and 19 because here you have to concentrate on that. And mention the instruments that you hear there. This is very important that you mention those instruments. And I think the moment that the flute plays a long note, the harpsichord or the basso continuo, they're quite busy. So you can also state that. So let's listen again from this fast part. And I'm going to show you the mark sheet that you can see the answers there. So let's start here. It's the flute. The melody is freely ornamented, decorated with trills and passing notes, additional notes, which was very common in the Baroque period. There you see what you had to write there. They like a little leap. And that was a scale going into the next part. The music, bar 18 was Allegro Vivace or Allegretto. The new key is now B minor. The similarity of that, you have the same melodic shape or the melody or the rhythm. And now the melody was higher. So it was in a major key now, back in D major. E to A is a perfect fourth. And it's played by the harpsichord and cello and basso continuo. The accompaniment plays fast notes when the flute has longer notes and vice versa, mixture of chords. And it was Handel.